What's up, everybody? It's me, Crazy Frankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 16 4 key game picks. Well, this is it. Week 16 and Week 17. Now we're down to these last 2 weeks of the regular season. Now, obviously, I don't want to get into too much detail in regards to what happened. I'm pretty sure anybody who saw the Packers-Cowboys game, I don't want to get into much discussion. I know there's a lot of angry Cowboy fans out there, but I've never seen a bigger letdown or choke job, whatever you want to call it, in that game. That was definitely the highlight of week number 16. Was really the Cowboys just you have a big lead and then you choke it in the end, and you give the Packers two interceptions. And basically, you cost yourselves the game right there. I'm not going to put it all on. Well, look, I would put some of it on Tony Romo, but I have to put it on the defense as well. The defense just didn't make the plays and stops when they needed to. But really, looking and going into the media, it was all on Tony Romo, no matter how you put it. But it wasn't just the only team that gave themselves a letdown and all. How about the Detroit Lions? They lose on a 61-yard field goal by Justin Tuck. I mean, how does that happen? How does that really happen? You got to wonder about some things. I mean, I look at the Detroit Lions. I would think, after everything that happened with Green Bay, with Aaron Rodgers getting hurt and no Jay Cutler for the Bears, you would think that this was the time for them to win this division. But you lose 4 of your previous 5 games. In all, right, you don't deserve to make the playoffs. And really, there's a lot of questions regarding that football team and where things stand right now. I mean, does this franchise move on? Do they fire Jim Schwartz? I mean, you got to wonder about that. And what do you do with a lot of teammates? I mean, it's really tough to say about this Detroit Lions team. I mean, I'm really disappointed in them because I was really hoping that this is a franchise that really hasn't had much of winning seasons in many, many years. But I'm really disappointed in them. I mean, I just wish they'd finally get off the schneid after so many years of just futility. It's just, I don't know what to think about this team anymore. I mean, if there's any even hope for them. Despite the Broncos losing to the Chargers last Thursday, the Patriots, they had a golden opportunity to get that 1 seed, and they basically just screwed themselves up by losing into Miami. I mean, that game was a shocker to me. I didn't expect at all, right, that Miami was going to beat New England. I mean, I had New England winning in that game, but really, in all hindsight, with the Patriots, I mean, they don't have Gronkowski for the season, and defense-wise, they are a bit of a mess. I mean, I'm starting to say the fact that the Broncos, I think, are still going to secure the 1 seed, and the Patriots, who knows, going into their final 2 games and all, if they don't win their next 2 games, and the Bengals end up winning winning the remaining games, the Bengals could end up taking the 2nd seed. So, in all hindsight right now, there's a lot of things on the line right now for the New England Patriots right now. And we'll get into a little bit more and everything going into week number 16 here. Now, for next week's video, it's going to be a little bit different because of the fact that it's the final week of the regular season. Some things may be a little bit out of the ordinary for what I usually do for these videos. I mean, this next week's video is going to be mostly about week 17. And basically what the playoff implications. I mean, there's a lot of key games. There's going to be a ton of them. And it's hard for me to distinguish what I want to do. So next week's video, bear with me on this, but I will give you some games that I will consider maybe they are going to be worth watching and all. But just keep in mind, my video is going to be a little bit different than when it usually is. When I only just pick the 4 key games of the week and everything else just gets written on my blog. It's going to be a long post next week. So keep that in mind, not only for this video on YouTube, but as well as my regular blog post at crazyfrankie56.blogspot.com. Anyways, the schedule for week 16 and Some of these teams I'm gonna go over again. I know I said them in week 15 and some previous weeks before, but obviously because there's playoff implications on the line, I kind of have to talk about this a little bit as key factors here. Now, for week 16, here are my 4 key game picks. This is key game number 1 here, the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. Now, I already talked about this a few weeks ago on my video, and I do my best to try to put in different teams every week and all that. But because a lot of things are on the line right now, I got to talk a little bit more about this. Now, the Saints already won the first meeting between these two teams, and currently they still have an edge in the tiebreaker. But really, right now, this is a big game for the Saints. I mean, after coming off a big time whooping against the Rams last week, some you got to wonder. I mean, where does the Saints team rank in terms of playing on the road? I mean, really, the Saints are a home team. They're not really much of a road team as the way I'm looking at it right now. And this is a big, big road game for them. If they don't win this game on Sunday, the Panthers are going to take over the NFC South Division lead and could be within striking distance of winning the division and going into week number 17. Now, Panthers are playing extremely well, even though they lost to the Saints, but this is a home game for them. And for the Panthers, simple as that. Power football and great defense in it is what's keeping them in that playoff chase. And normally they still have a chance at a playoff berth, but a number of key factors have to come into that. So it's going to be tough to say for this Panthers team. And really right now, the Saints right now, you got to wonder about them too. I mean, really, they had the division wrapped up if they could have won last week against the Rams, but right now, this is a must-win game for both these teams. And, well, obviously, I see both of them making the playoffs anyway. For the Saints offense, they're going to have to really come alive here. I mean, they only scored 16 points last week against the Rams, and that's not going to get it done. So, what I'm looking at right now, and in terms of what's going to happen going into this game, I'd say the Saints are going to bounce back here. I still like the Saints in this division. I still think it's theirs to take. I know the Panthers are playing extremely well, but this is gonna be a very, very close game. I know the first game wasn't close at all, but this one will be. This one here in Carolina is definitely going to be a very, very close game. I see the Saints edging out a victory, just an edge, because the Panthers play very well at home, and knowing the Saints, I mean, if they want a big road win here, this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it right here. I'm gonna go with New Orleans here. I know the Panthers are probably a slight favorite in this one, but I'm gonna say New Orleans wins this game here by just a hair. I'll say the Saints over the Panthers. Key game number 2, the New England Patriots at the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore, big win over last week against the Lions. Have pushed themselves back into the playoff picture. They're the number 6 seed at the moment. They currently hold a tiebreaker with the Dolphins. And for New England, a lot is riding on this game because this is a game they have to win in order to keep pace to even have a shot at the 1 seed. And this game could not be any more of a toss-up here. Both teams are playing exceptionally well, even though the Patriots lost last week to the Dolphins. But really, for the Patriots right now, this is a game they have to win to wrap up the AFC East division, and they didn't wrap it up last week. For the Ravens right now, this is much bigger for them. Their playoff hopes are riding on this game right now, including their Week 17 game. But really, right now, I mean, this could not be an evenly matched team. And really, with the Patriots' defense banged up and offensively they have no Gronkowski, you got to wonder what does Baltimore do in this game in order to stop the Patriots? All they got to do is just look at last week what happened in Miami. So if you're going to wonder why I'm going to go with this here, I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens beat the Patriots here. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a gamble here. I'm going to say the Ravens beat the Patriots here. I just think, with key factors that are going on with New England right now, you don't have Gronkowski. Their defense is banged up. And the way the Ravens are playing and fighting for their playoff lives right now, I mean, it's hard for me to go against them. And it's tough to say what goes on here, but I'm going to say definitely that the Ravens will beat the Patriots in a very, very close game. And I probably would say right now for the Ravens they'll be inches closer to a playoff berth, and for the Patriots, I think even regardless what happens in this game, if the Dolphins lose next week, pretty much the Patriots wrap up the AFC East division. So either way, it's not really much for the Patriots. I mean, they still hold a sizable lead in that division, but regardless what happens, they'll probably end up winning the AFC East probably in this week. But for this game here, the Ravens, I see the Ravens beating the Patriots in a very, very close game. And that's pretty much how I'm going to see it. But it's tough to say because this game could not be any more of a toss-up. Key game number 3, the New York Giants at the Detroit Lions. Well, this is mostly about the Detroit Lions here. Now, key factor here. For the Lions right now, they got to have... I mean, I know that they're coming off a tough loss to Baltimore. And the Giants are not really playing that well. This is a game for the Lions here that they got to win here. They got to win, and they got to hope that the Packers and the Bears lose next week in order to even have some sort of hope. So it's tough to say right now for this Lions team right now. I mean, it really, I feel for them. I really wish this team could finally get on the winning track, and it's hard to say it because this team's been cursed for many, many years, and I don't know what to say for this team. But going into this game right now, I mean, this is a game I'm going to pick the Lions for this one here. Even though it's not much of a key game pick because the Giants stink this year. But for them, they got to hope of a couple factors here. I mean, they got to hope that the Bears lose next week and the Packers lose next week. And those are key games that, for them, it's hard to say. I mean, I could have picked some of those games here for my video, but it's hard because I only do 4 here. And right now for the Lions, this is must win for them as well as for Packers next week as they got the Steelers. I mean, they got to win their game and they got to see what wonders here. But going into this game, I like the Lions here. I'm going to say the Lions beat the Giants here. And my last key game number 4, the Bears at the Eagles. Eagles coming off a tough loss last week against Minnesota. They're back in Philly for this one here. And it's tough to say what goes on here. This game, I'm going to say, is a toss-up here. Even though the Bears last week against the Browns, I mean, you had to wonder and questions about what was this team going with. The way Josh McCown was playing, was it a wise decision to get him out of there just to put back Jay Cutler here? In all honesty, this is what I kind of think of Jay Cutler here. I don't really entirely trust him all that much. He's still vulnerable to turning the ball over. And you got to wonder for the Eagles going into this game here. I mean, Nick Foles didn't play all that well. And for the Eagles offense, I mean, they finally get on the losing end. But this is a home game for them. And really, they currently hold a slight lead in that NFC East division over the Cowboys. So it's to say what goes on in this game here. I mean, this game might be a toss-up. But I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles here. For the Philadelphia Eagles, this is a must-win game for them because they know they got the Cowboys in Week 17 and they got to travel to Dallas to play them. And the way the Eagles have been playing right now, I mean, I like their chances here. I mean, I know last week it was a little bit of a hiccup against Minnesota, but will they come out on the losing end? It's going to be a tight game here. I like the Eagles in this one here. I sometimes wonder with Jay Cutler. I mean, he threw 2 interceptions last week against the Browns, which one of them ended up being a pick 6. I mean, I sometimes wonder about Jay Cutler and his passing decisions. I mean, really, he's finding a receiver in Jeffrey, but it's tough to say, I mean, they got to get the running game going here, and really, it's tough to say with this Bears offense. I mean, the entire NFC North division, all the teams, the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers, I mean, you got to wonder with all those teams. But to say for the Bears in a must-win game in order to wrap up the division, it's going to be tough. Everything's going to come down to Week 17. It's going to be no question about it that everything comes down to Week 17 here. But for this game here, the Eagles, I just like the Eagles a little bit more in this game. Offensive-wise, I think they're going to get back on track, and I like them at home. It's like I said, this game is a toss-up here, but I like Philly in this one here. I'm going to say the Eagles over the Bears. Well, this is it, folks. Week 16, and we got next week, Week 17. This is it, folks. We're now coming down the final stretch here. I'm excited as all you NFL fans and gurus out there that you all wondering who's going to get in, who's going to make it here. Well, we'll just have to wait and see and find out what happens on Sunday and next week. Crazy Frankie 56, StopBlockSpot.com for all of my Week 16 picks. And like I said, as I mentioned earlier, going into next week, my video is going to be a little bit different in terms of because everything's going to involve Week 17. Current playoff picture right now, Broncos are still the 1 seed in the AFC, Patriots 2, Bengals are the 3 seed, Colts are the 4th seed. The Kansas City Chiefs have wrapped up a playoff berth. They will probably more than likely going to be the 5th seed no matter what happens. And currently the 6th seed right now is the Baltimore Ravens. NFC, Seahawks still currently hold the 1 position. They haven't wrapped up the NFC West division yet. But we'll wait and see what happens in Week 16. They could wrap it up by then. The Saints currently still hold the 2 seed, but it's all going to depend what happens in their game against the Panthers. Currently the Saints are the 2 seed. The Eagles right now are the 3 seed at the moment. And the Bears right now currently are the 4th seed as they now are leading the NFC North division. The 5th seed is the Panthers and the 6th seed is the 49ers. A lot riding on the next 2 weeks. We don't know what to expect, but we just have to wait and see and watch. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your football weekend, and I'll see you next week for my final video of the regular season. I don't do playoff games. I feel that you have to watch them because I'm not that big, and when it comes to regular season, I like talking about it. But come playoff time and all, I just want to enjoy the playoffs. I don't want to get into too much thought. Anyways, I'll see you all next week. Take care.